With so many black feathered beasts, it would take them a while to kill them all even if the beasts did not fight back, not to mention the mutant and sacred blood black feathered beasts. And now they had been trapped in the bodies of the black feathered beasts. If they did not manage to go out, they would be torn apart before the king came to them. When Huangfu was in despair, she saw a giant golden object in a sudden. It turned out to be the golden rock worm king. Summoned by Hansen, the golden rock worm king quickly ripped at the beasts' bodies. With its size like a rhinoceros, the worm king pushed away all the bodies, blocking the three away. The black feathered beasts threw them at the worm king. However, the worm king's shell was already really hard and the claws of the beasts could not harm it at all. The Worm King did not mind them and continued to devour the dead bodies. With the help of the Worm King, the three had gained space to move around. Wielding the chopper seamlessly, Hansen killed all the black feathered beasts that dared to come close. Primitive black feathered beast killed. Beast soul of primitive black feathered beast gained. Eat its meat to gain 0 to 10 primitive geno points. With so many black feathered beasts killed, Hansen eventually gained a primitive beast soul. Huangfu killed about the same number of beasts as he did. Dancing with her daggers and using different martial arts, she caused the great damage to the beasts, making Hansen quite surprised. But the black feathered beasts were so great in numbers that they could never kill them all. Hansen frowned and knew this would not work. The sacred blood black feathered beast king was determined to kill them. Last time they scattered because Huangfu had lots of men with her, and now there were only a few humans, so they had come back. The beast king did not care about its own kind. Hansen knew their strength could not last them very long. Linman, stay here and I will lead the beasts away. After I have finished, run back and leave the desert, Hansen said. Huangfu felt that he must be lying. The only reason Wang Mingmeng was safe was his protection. Once he was gone, how could she fight all these black feathered beasts? And with so many black feathered beasts here, how many could he lead away? Even if he could get half to chase him, Wang Mingmeng still needed to deal with the rest. In Huangfu's view, Hansen was simply making an excuse for leaving Wang Mingmeng and escaping on his own. When Huangfu Pinking was guessing, Wang Mingmeng said, "Take care, brother Han. Are you really one of the Wangs? Can't you see he is running alone? And you are still worried about his safety?" Huangfu thought, but she suddenly saw Hansen reached out a hand, and a blue suite of crystal beast soul armor covered Wang Mingmeng's body from head to toe. The armor was simply like a beautiful piece of art, showing off Wang Mingmeng's nice body shape. She suddenly looked like a goddess of war from heaven. At the same time, Hansen summoned his horn bow and black stinger arrow and shot the arrow at the Beast King. The horn bows attached great strength to the arrow, which buzzed as it flew across, and Hansen had tied a thread at the arrow's nock at some point. With the other end of the thread in his hand, he was carried by the arrow and went close to the Beast King. Holding the thread in one hand, a sharp green dagger in the other, Hansen slayed every black feathered beast that dared to approach him. This dagger was the other beast's soul that he gained from Guming. The chopper was too heavy and big, which would weigh him down as he rushed to the Beast King. That was why he had used the dagger instead. Watching Hansen using an arrow to approach the sacred blood Beast King, Huangfu was dazed. Originally, she had thought Hansen was about to leave Wang Mingmeng alone and escape. So, she had made up her mind that as long as Hansen moved, she would follow him to make her way out. But in fact, Hansen was trying to approach the Beast King flying in the sky like this. She had not expected this to happen. What was the use of doing this? He could not even fly, so how could he cause the sacred blood Beast King any harm? Once the arrow slowed down, he would be shredded into pieces by the numerous beasts. Stupid. He is more stupid than Wang Dongling, Huangfu thought. Glancing at Wang Mingmeng, Huangfu found that with the armor, the black feathered beasts could not even leave any mark on it, let alone hurt the girl. Sacred blood beast soul armor. Huangfu was shocked and her expression became complicated. With such armor and his strength, he could have easily go out himself. However, he had chosen to risk his life and leave the armor to Wang Mingmeng to protect her. This man is either mad or arrogant. Huangfu looked up and saw Hansen in the sky. The arrow had lost the momentum because of his weight and the obstruction from the black feathered beasts. Hansen did not make it to the sacred blood Beast King, and mutant black feathered beasts started to throw themselves at him. He had lost all means of defense in the air. But at this time, Huangfu suddenly saw a red shadow. Suddenly Hansen was covered in red armor and his short and black hair had become long and blonde. With a ruby crown on his head, he was glistening in the sun. Once he had shapeshifted into a fairy queen, Hansen felt the world had slowed down. All the mutant black feathered beasts seemed to act in slow motion. Seeing the first mutant beast approaching, Hansen held his hands down on it and jumped over its head, his dagger cutting its throat. Mutant black feathered beast killed. Beast Soul of Mutant Black Feathered Beast gained. Eat its meat to gain 0 to 10 primitive geno points. Hansen was not moved at all by the voice. Without a pause, he stepped on a mutant beast and sent it down to the ground. With this step, Hansen instantly reached another mutant beast. Beheading it with his dagger, he turned to push another beast to jump up and dodge the blow from 2 other beasts. Hyungfu was shocked by Hansen's ghostly move in the air. His smooth movements and killing made it hard to believe that he was human. At least Hyungfu had never seen anyone who could accomplish this in First God's Sanctuary. I have never heard of such a person in steel armor shelter. Hyungfu thought Hansen must be one of the chosen, but he was not even in the final rounds. But then she thought that although Hansen was impressive, it was Dollar who represented steel armor shelter this year. This way, it was understandable that Hansen never became the champion of his shelter. In the middle of her thoughts, Hyungfu suddenly saw Hansen jump from the back of a mutant beast and summoned his horn bow, shooting an arrow and followed it to throw himself at the sacred blood beast king that was commanding the beast's attacks. This time Hansen was really close to it. The beast king screeched and simply flew higher, flapping its giant red wings, making Hansen miss. Hansen stayed calm and shook the thread in his hand. Once again he drew the string and shot the arrow which carried him to the Beast King. Now he was even closer. He slashed at the Beast King's throat with the dagger. Seeing it was too late to fly away, the Beast King roared and grabbed the dagger with its red paw, blocking it from moving further, and its other paw clawed at Hansen's face like a red lightning bolt. Hansen let go of the dagger and grabbed its arm with both hands. Like a snake, he coiled around the Beast King's body using Ghost Haunt. With a twist, he broke one of its fingers. Roar! Screamed the sacred blood black feathered Beast King, flapping its wings and rolling around, wanting to get Hansen off its back. No matter how it rolled, Hansen stuck to its back and could not be touched. Hearing the screams of the Beast King, the black feathered beasts returned to save it. Suddenly, all beasts surrounding Wang Mingmeng and Hyungfu Pinking went to save their king and rushed to Hansen. "Sister, let's go," called Wang Mingmeng on the back of her big white bear, disappearing in the direction of the desert's border. "You won't wait for him." Hyungfu looked at Wang Mingmeng, feeling odd. Hansen went there to save Wang, and she would just leave. Wang Mingmeng said calmly, "Others might not be able to do this, but Brother Han is. I would only become a burden to him if I were to stay. When I get somewhere safe, he will come to me." Hyungfu paused. Although Hansen was indeed very strong, Wang Mingmeng's trust seemed a bit too much. It was a group of beasts with a sacred blood king. Hyungfu did not believe Hansen could easily make it back. "Sister, we should go," Wang Mingmeng said and urged her white bear to accelerate. Glancing at the beasts in the sky rolling like clouds, Hyungfu followed Wang Mingmeng with complex feelings. Seeing the girls had left, Hansen was relieved. He shapeshifted back to himself and put on the black beetle armor. Still on the sacred blood beast king's back, he repeatedly punched at the back of its head. The sacred blood beast king was quite tough. With the geno points Hansen had at this point, his strength was considerable. However, the beast king was only bruised after taking a dozen punches from him. Screeching in pain, it buried itself in a dune below. Hansen thought, has it lost its mind? Holding the beast king with his arms, Hansen planned to take its life when it was in the sand. However, the place where they landed was full of shifting sand. Both the Beast King and Hansen fell in deep. Under the protection of the sacred blood armor, Hansen did not suffer from too much impact. Thump! Hansen and the sacred blood Beast King fell on the rocks. Bearing the pain, Hansen looked up and was surprised to find them in a huge underground cave. Hansen could not tell how large the cave was. Stalactites were so tall that they were like skyscrapers. Many unknown vines were wrapped on the rocks, and there was an underground river. And on the surrounding rocks and vines, blue lights that looked like stars were everywhere. They lit up the dark cave, and with Hansen's good vision, he could see everything clearly. The sacred blood black feathered Beast King tried to wiggle free, but was pinned back down by Hansen. Growling, it did not struggle again. As Hansen was wondering why it had stopped, he saw the lights were disturbed by the Beast King's growl, and started to fly toward Hansen and the Beast King. "What is that?" Hansen was shocked. After taking a closer look at them, he noticed that the lights were each a blue butterfly the size of his palm. Their blue wings were glistening, and soon the blue butterflies had reached them. Only then did Hansen know that the Beast King was not here by accident. It was trying to use these butterflies to get rid of Hansen. Hansen became vigilant and slashed at a butterfly before it could fall on him. Primitive creature ghost butterfly killed. No beast soul gained. Meat inedible. As Hansen was puzzled, he suddenly saw that dead ghost butterfly burst into blue flames. Hansen rolled to the other side of the Beast King and the flames fell on the Beast King. It suddenly cried in pain, its fur burning. Flocks of ghost butterflies rushed over, hitting Hansen and the Beast King one after another. Once they were in collision, they would immediately burst into blue flames. There were simply too many ghost butterflies and neither of them could manage to avoid them. The Beast King growled from time to time from pain, although Hansen's sacred blood armor could protect him from burning. It could do nothing about the heat, and Hansen was burned inside. Hansen cursed the Beast King inwardly, but at this point, he was in no mood to deal with it. Hansen threw himself in the underground river, since otherwise he would become barbecued. As Hansen jumped into the underground river, the Beast King followed him and jumped. It was very swift considering its size. With its wings folded, it swam downstream quickly. Hansen gritted his teeth and followed up. There were so many ghost butterflies, many of which were mutant creatures, generating great heat. But the Beast King was so fast that it almost disappeared from his sight. Hansen would not like to see that and shot an arrow at it underwater. The arrow could not travel too far underwater. Fortunately, Hansen was not too far from the Beast King. The black stinger arrow hit its wing and the thread attached to the arrow was entangled with its feathers. When the Beast King moved forward, Hansen was carried to go as well. It was faster than a fish, pulling Hansen forward. Is it an amphibian? Having followed the creature in the water for a while, Hansen could no longer hold his breath. He had not evolved to the stage where he could breathe underwater, whereas the Beast King seemed to be able to do that. Otherwise, it would have been out of breath by this time. Hansen gritted his teeth and summoned the black stinger arrow back, leaving the Beast King alone and stuck his head out of the water to breathe. He looked around and found himself in the cave still. There were still some ghost butterflies, but only several of them, staying still on the rocks and vines. Since he had lost the Beast King and this place was not dangerous, Hansen was in no hurry. Looking at a ghost butterfly on the rocks, Hansen shot an arrow at it. With a pop, the butterfly turned into flames. Primitive creature ghost butterfly killed. Beast soul of primitive ghost butterfly gained. Meat inedible. Hansen was thrilled. He had good luck today in terms of beast soul. Although it was merely a primitive beast soul, it was a one-off beast soul like the wasp arrow that Son of Heaven once used, which was generally more powerful than the beast souls on the same level. In addition to the primitive ghost butterfly beast soul, he had also gained a primitive beast soul and a mutant beast soul from black feathered beasts. Type of primitive ghost butterfly beast soul, one-off hidden weapon. Type of beast soul of primitive black feathered beast, flying. Type of beast soul of mutant black feathered beast, flying. Hansen saw the latter too and became overjoyed. There were so few creatures near his shelter that would produce flying beast souls that few people had wings in the entire steel armor shelter. These black feathered beasts actually produced flying beast souls, which was great. He needed the wings himself as well, since he could only use the purple-winged dragon wings when he was Dollar. Hansen only regretted that he did not manage to kill the Sacred Blood Beast King. Otherwise, he would have a chance to get another pair of Sacred Blood wings. I need to go back and kill a few more black feathered beasts. Even the primitive flying beast souls could be sold at a good price, since many youths would buy them just for the look. Hansen summoned the ghost butterfly beast soul, and suddenly a blue butterfly flew into his palm, changing into a butterfly-shaped boomerang. The two wings of the weapon were thin and sharp, looking rather scary. Hansen threw the butterfly boomerang out, which whirled in the air and came toward Hansen. Hansen was startled and quickly dodged the boomerang. The boomerang's sharp edge cut into the rock behind him and burst into blue flames. Hansen was stunned by the power of a primitive ghost butterfly boomerang. If he could get a mutant one, it would probably even be a great threat to sacred blood creatures. The shape of the boomerang was quite unique, and he must learn some special methods to use it. Hansen was very intrigued. There were ghost butterflies in the cave and he could easily gain a lot of beast soul boomerangs if he killed all he saw on his way. As for the danger, he was not worried at all. If he shot the arrows hidden in the underground river, he could make a dive whenever it seemed dangerous. And he also had his mutant black barracuda mount and did not need to swim and dive himself. The ghost flame butterflies could not harm him anyway. Well, I will go along the underground river and kill all the ghost butterflies I see. Then I can exit from where I fell. If I encounter the black feathered beasts again, maybe I could even get a few more flying beast souls to sell, thought Hansen, going up along the underground river. The Sacred Blood Black Feathered Beast King had actually taken him to a wonderland. Hansen killed numerous ghost butterflies, which could not cause him any damage at all. Although there was no meat, Hansen had harvested a lot of butterfly beast souls. In the end, he had gained 24 primitive ones and 7 mutant ones. Another flock of ghost butterflies flew over, and Hansen welcomed them waving his chopper. Ouch! In the blue flames, a ball of flame that was nearly purple burned on him. He uttered a piercing scream before jumping into the underground river like a rabbit. Sacred blood creature ghost butterfly killed. Beast soul of sacred blood ghost butterfly gained. Meat inedible. When Hansen crawled out from the river, his armor was greatly damaged. Many parts were melted, bearing his charred flesh. The sacred blood armor no longer had lost all its prestige. Struggling to get up, Hansen took the armor back. It was lucky that the armor was not ruined completely and could recover over time. At the same time, Hansen was also glad that the armor had blocked most of the harm brought by the sacred blood ghost butterfly, which was very powerful. Since Hansen had gained the black beetle armor, he had not suffered so much as this time. He was burned badly all over. Had he been farther from the river or a bit slower than he would have been burned into ash right now. Hansen still had some lingering fear, as his package was burned. He had nothing left, let alone medicine. Hansen had to use jadeskin, hoping to ease his burn. He had to recover a little before he could leave the cave. Using jadeskin, Hansen felt a coolness calming his burn and easing his pain. Hansen ignored those ghost butterflies and traveled underwater on the back of the mutant black barracuda. Once in a while, he would take a breath above the water, not daring to disturb the ghost butterflies. The ghost butterflies were countless like stars in the galaxy. If he were to kill them all, it would probably take him forever. Leaving Devil Desert safely, he hunted several creatures for food on his way, and then met Wang Mingmang and others who came to look for him. Back to school, Hansen needed rest for his burns to heal, which gave him time to go to lectures. This day, Hansen was in a lecture of theories of hyper-geno arts. While listening, Hansen was playing with a palm-sized butterfly boomerang in his hand. The blacksmith who had sold Hansen's steel weapons had custom-made it for him according to the size and weight of the beast soul butterfly boomerangs. The blacksmith's craftsmanship was impressive, and this almost looked the same as the beast souls. Hansen had ordered a total of 10 butterfly boomerangs. He was only using these to practice, since he would have used his beast soul ones up before he could practice properly. Hansen had the foundation of Sleeveblade and had looked up many atrial arts of hidden weapons, so he was able to learn how to use the boomerang on his own. Listening to the professor, Hansen let the butterfly boomerang dance in his hand as if it was alive. Hansen carried it everywhere to get the hang of it. "Genius, can I ask you something?" After class, several students went to Hansen, and one of them said to Hansen, "What?" Hansen was slightly surprised, as he did not know this person. "Genius, so we are from Martial Arts Society and my name is Zhu Kaiyan. We have registered for a black and white boxing competition on the Skynet, and it is a team challenge. We have 4 now and need 1 more player. Can you join us?" After the student finished, all 4 of them looked at Hansen full of hope. "There are many who are good at black and white boxing. Why have you come to me?" Hansen asked, puzzled. "So if it is any other game, we could afford to lose, but this one is different. We are against Saint Germain and we cannot lose. That's why we've asked you to help," said the student excitedly. Seeing Hansen was at loss, the students knew that Hansen was unaware of the conflicts between Black Hawk and Saint Germain and started to explain. Soon Hansen learned that in terms of martial arts, the 2 academies were bitter rivals. After Hansen heard them out, the students looked at him nervously. Although they knew Hansen was great at black and white boxing, he was not a society member and did not have the obligation to join them. Hansen saw their look, pondered and said, "When is the game scheduled? If there is no time conflict with my schedule, I could join you." The students were ecstatic. "It will be in the weekend. Other matches are unimportant, but the one on October 6th was against Saint Germain. We really need you for this one, but we need to include your name in our registration now." "No problem. I should be able to participate in that one." Hansen smiled and said, "Also, do not call me genius. It does not represent all my strengths." "Okay, so we will call you Hansen then. Here is the form, you have to fill it out before we submit." Zhu Kaiyan handed a form to Hansen excitedly. "Right, genius." Hansen, "For the Skynet game, you need to register with an ID, so fill that in as well." Liu Yuhu, who was one of the students, reminded him. "Okay." Hansen thought about it and filled the form out. Black Fist Emperor. The students saw his ID and were dazed. That was so arrogant that they did not believe Hansen had chosen such an ID. "It can't be already used, can it?" Hansen looked at the students and asked. "No, it can't be. We are registering as a group, so there will be a prefix of the school name. Even if the ID is used, it will still be fine," Zhu Kaiyan quickly said. The students thought to themselves, even without the prefix, no one would be so daring to use such an ID. But they did not say anything. If someone else had used such an ID, they might try to talk that person out of it. However, when it came to Hansen, it seemed okay. At this point, he had almost recovered from his burns. Recently, he had been in so many classes that he was a bit tired of studying, and decided to go test his physical fitness. He had not tested his fitness in a long time, and had no idea how well he could do. After reaching the test hall, Hansen chose to pay for a private test room so that none could see his test result. In fact, Hansen only planned to test a few key items, such as strength, speed, and reflex. Bang 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 bang. With a fierce blow on the machine, the number 15.4656 showed on the screen, and as Hansen bolted, his speed was rated 15.76665. He was rated above 15 in all his test items, which surprised him. According to the statistics of the Alliance, when one maxed out on all 4 kinds of Geno points, one could reach 15 in these items. If one was especially good at certain things, then one might be rated 16 or 17 in 1 or 2 items. But now Hansen was quite lacking in sacred and mutant Geno points, and his test results were already higher than 15, which was a bit scary. If he continued like this, even Hansen could not be sure how high his fitness index would be when he maxed out on everything. Hansen guessed that this was because he had practiced Jadeskin. Hyper Geno arts could enhance one's fitness, but he had never heard of any improvement like his. Normally, one who had practiced Hyper Geno arts could reach 17 or 18 when one maxed out on all Geno points, and might reach 20 in 1 or 2 items. But Hansen estimated his fitness index could probably pass 20 when he maxed out, which was something unheard of before. Coming out of the test room, Hansen encountered a man who had stopped and seemed to recognize Hansen. But Hansen did not recognize this guy, so he continued on. So you will participate in that black and white boxing competition, the man suddenly said. Hansen stopped and looked around to make sure this man was talking to him. Yes, you are. Hansen looked him up and down. This man was about 20. He was tall and slender and his face had some tough lines. He looked like a shining weapon with a unique sharpness. Aong Zosen. The man's voice was without emotion. You are him. Glad to be your teammate. Aong Zosen was a celebrity in the martial arts department, and Hansen had heard of him. He was the slugger in all kinds of competitions, and Hansen thought he would be in this one as well. Seeing Hansen reaching out his hand, Aong was not about to shake it. Aong Zosen said coldly, I did not sign up for that. Why? Hansen was surprised. As one of the best players, how was it possible that Aong was not on the team? I know we won't win, so that would be a waste of time. It's pointless to waste one's time and energy on some stupid game like that anyway. Aong regarded Hansen. I have seen the match between you and Yu Mingjai. You have talent. Are you interested in joining the martial arts society? With my training, you could become an excellent martial arts player. The two of us might have a chance at the championship of the Alliance tournament. Looking at Aong, Hansen smiled and said, I understand now. It was because you did not want to participate that the team was one man short, and that was why they came to me. Do you want to transfer to the Martial Arts Society? Aong continued to ask with no expression on his face. Well, let's make a bet. And if you win, I can promise to join your society. If you lose, you will join this black and white boxing game. Hansen laughed. I never bet on luck, Aong said quietly. Black and white boxing duel, best of 9, Hansen said. Okay, Aong agreed without any hesitation. Shall we flip a coin to decide who attacks first? Which side do you want? Hansen took out a coin and put it in his palm. Tails, Aong said. Hansen casually threw the coin in the air and caught it. It was tails. You first. Hansen saw Aong's fist as soon as he finished the 2 words. Aong's punch was fast and ruthless, as if there was no turning back. But Hansen did not dodge or even raise his hand. He simply stood there watching Aong's fist approaching his face. Aong's punch stopped less than an inch away from Hansen's nose. The contrast between the dynamic and static forces was so strong that it was dazzling. Deliberate in counsel, prompt in action. Well done. Hansen smiled. Losing is losing. Your turn, Aong said. A punch of that kind of speed and strength was not enough to deceive Hansen, who did not even try to block it and was confident that it was a white fist. Do you know what idea I am going to use? Hansen did not throw a punch, but smiled at Aong and asked. That has nothing to do with me, said Aong indifferently. No, it has. My 499 is Black Fist Emperor. So, for this punch, I will be using a black fist. Pay attention and don't copy my reaction. At least you need to block it with your hand, so that you don't get injured too badly, Hansen said earnestly. Cut the crap. Just attack. Aong had been in numerous competitions and was tough mentally. He was not the least swayed by Hansen's words. Hansen suddenly threw his punch at Aong in an equally fast and ruthless manner. Aong Zosen was not shaken by Hansen's words. Staring at Hansen, he was making his judgment based on his ability and experience. There was no doubt that this was a white fist. Aong Zosen thought it was simply impossible to be a black fist. Verbal attacks would not work on me. This punch was not provocative at all and would never be a black fist. Aong Zosen did not even move, calmly watching Hansen's fist approaching. Like Hansen, he did not even try to block it with his hands because he was confident that this was a white fist. Since Hansen did not really use his strength, his fist would stop when it got close to his face. Deep in his thoughts, Aong suddenly felt a soreness in his nose, and then he fell back involuntarily before he sat on the ground. How could it be a black fist? Ignoring his nosebleed, Aong looked blankly at Hansen. Hansen offered tissues to Aong and said with a smile, "I told you so." Aong did not take the tissues, but wiped the blood off his nose and stood up. He said firmly, "Best of 9, that was just 1. Hansen smiled and put the tissues back. Standing opposite Aong, he said, "I'll continue then." Aong said nothing, staring at Hansen. He would not miss his slightest movements, which were the basis on which he would make his judgment. Once one used great strength, one's muscles would move. The key was to see through one's disguise. Hansen looked at Aong, who looked grim, pursed his lips and threw another punch. This time, Aong had seen clearly that although Hansen's muscles looked tightened, the direction of this punch would not be forward, which meant this could not be a black fist. "This time you can't fool me." Aong stood firmly, raising his arms to block Hansen's fist. Although he had judged this fist to be white, Aong still raised his arms. It seemed that he had taken Hansen for a serious opponent, so he still prepared for the worst scenario when he was confident about his decision. Boom! Hansen's fist hit Aong on the arm. Aong's body shook but did not fall back. Aong was pale since Hansen's punch was still a black fist with enough strength. He was wrong, too, said Hansen with a smile. Aong looked at Hansen and was puzzled. Can he really hide his strength so well? Aong cast an odd look at Hansen. Black and white boxing was only a popular practice in martial arts, and the key was the yin and yang. There had only been matches of black and white boxing recently. Although it could not be regarded as the mainstream of martial arts, it was now quite popular. After all, it would make a great match to watch. Aong had participated in a lot of black and white boxing games and seen a lot of black and white boxing masters. A lot of people had mastered yin and yang forces, but whenever they throw a punch, he could still tell. Aong had rich experience and was particularly sensitive about his opponent's intentions, which was an advantage for him in black and white boxing games. Especially when he was the defensive side, the probability of his misjudgment was very low. Even if there were occasional mistakes, it would be because his opponent had used something he had never seen. And after he got familiar with it, it would not work anymore. But in the 2 rounds against Hansen, he had felt something different from all his previous experience. That feeling was hard to describe. Hansen's moves were misleading not only because of the false appearance of his body, but because Aong felt that Hansen did not intend to hit him. There has to be flaws. If it is something unknown to me, I can always find out how it works. Once I do, he can no longer fool me. Aong calmed down and got ready. Again, Aong slowly spit out the word. Bang! Hansen threw a punch and Aong raised his arms. This time Hansen punched harder, but Aong could still stand still. "You are very fit." Hansen regarded Aong, surprised. Although he still reserved his strength, Aong would not be able to block it with a fitness index below 13. Aong did not reply, because he lost again. Aong was not discouraged. Hansen threw another punch, and the result was the same. Aong took another black fist. This time, Hansen deliberately weakened his strength, because he did not want people to know how good he actually was. To do well in black and white boxing was not just about strength, but also about fooling your opponent. This is your last chance." Hansen looked at Aong and said, "Go." Aong did not hesitate to say. Hansen threw another fierce punch at Aong. It was as fast as a bullet. Suddenly, Aong moved away and dodged Hansen's fist. At this critical time, Aong did not insist on his own judgment and tried to block, but chose to dodge. "Since whenever I think you were using a white fist, you used a black one. Then if I act counterintuitively, I could beat you," Aong said with a smile of self-confidence. But very soon, Aong's smile froze. That will be all for now. I hope you find this story interesting. Leave a like, subscribe, and enable notifications so you won't miss the next part of this story. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.